We are now looking at the crypto market, and it shows us there is a possibility. It's a possibility that Bitcoin can actually have a drop. Now, we've been looking for what's the market showing us, but there is a possibility that we may actually start moving to the downside. We do have some volume here and there, but remember, this short-term scenario shows us there is a possible support close by. But as you start moving out, zooming out, you kind of actually reach an area where you see like, okay, there is still a lot of possibility that you may come close to 20,000, 21,000 range. And when the market drops, understand the level of fear pushes each asset way lower than it should actually go. So it's better that we don't get a break to the downside here, which is going to be the positive case. But most likely, the way we observe the market right now, say you're looking at a Heikin chart. 4-hour chart is showing you that it is red, and it can be most likely in red for the next 4 hours too. Then you're zooming in, you're just going in to see what the candle is showing you. It is suggesting like, okay, I'm breaking through the moving average. I'm retesting that moving average. I'm getting rejected. Now, one thing to note is right now you're at the support, and if you break that support, you take this as the measured move, and that's where you are going. So in terms of that movement, it's just 1.5% for Bitcoin. Now, remember, this is a short-term chart, and that 1.47% actually brings us below 23,000. Now, 23 is a high range considering where we bottomed. But right now, there can be volatility. Now, what I'm afraid right now in the market is whenever we are getting some kind of these drops, a lot of institutions which went in leverage, if they are still there in the market, they kind of survived the FTX mess, the BlockFi, Genesis, and all these. And then this comes up as a surprise, they may get hit hard. So we actually right now have an area where you should be cautious. You're looking at it on the price action terms, you're looking at it on the trend, indicators, whatever you want to look at. If the price is heading this way to the downside, now we don't want that to be happening when you're in leverage trades, when you're in trades. But if it's like a macro asset in which you are in, this is the support we are talking about. Great. So we are thinking that the price is going to drop and it is going to get supported here. And at the same time, you have a ton of altcoins which are showing you that we can run higher, but we already ran a little bit. We'll correct first and then start to bounce. So we are going to look through various different assets and the market sentiment right now to understand what we are looking for next couple of weeks so that you get the right opportunities at the right time. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. As we've been moving through a lot of these assets, we do understand like that's a lot of different assets showing you different signals. Say some of these are actually breaking through, running higher, giving you that continuation pattern, but they also have to correct after doing 100%, 200% move, right? You're looking at the Bitcoin dominance. Yes, we do see that it can actually most likely come down to this range, but in between, now you broke this level of support. So what if the price is going to go back up or the dominance retest this level before it actually drops? So to put that clearly, this is going to be that range which we are looking at, say close to 42. If we are going to retest that level, Bitcoin dominance is going to increase. So if that is happening when Bitcoin price is dropping, that won't be looking good. Now, the other side of this is literally we get bulls entering by 23,000. We get a bullish candle here, which will be great to wait and see whether we get this and still manage to break this to the upside. If we don't break that to the upside, now we are still in the same pattern, a rising channel, which usually shows you that it can go into a correction. So again, you're waiting to see what's going to happen, whether this is going to break to the upside or to the downside. But right now, a lot of different indicators are suggesting you that chances are you are going to correct to the downside. So now you're looking at XRP. Fine, what does it actually shows you when Bitcoin is slowing down? Remember, your support right now, which you can look for, is this. If you put that consistently, it would look something like this. So if you are dropping below that 0.4 level, it may not look great. So we don't want that to happen. But as we zoom in, say this is 12-hour chart, what we want to see or what we wish to see is that the price hold this level. It broke this one, retest and bounce. That's good. That's great. But if it actually breaks that level, now we are looking for 0.37. Now, yes, agreed. Literally earlier this year, we were close to 0.3, 0.33. So 0.37 is not bad deal. Literally, it's not a bad deal for sure. But the concern here is when the price drops, we really don't know how different assets are going to be impacted, and that can actually go into a cascading effect if these institutions are still there in the market, which is about to go bankrupt. But the chances for that is actually rare. Agreed. But understand the liquidity, if they want to source liquidity, now the interest rates are so high. And these risky institutions may have to pay even higher premiums. So, getting liquidity right now is going to be hard for those institutions. And if the market tanks, so we do understand there is a probability like that, right? And again, if the market actually gives us something bullish, a bounce from here, that would be great. But to validate that, we'll have to pass through this level. Now, that's for XRP. Now, we go to another asset, which is like an exchange-based coin, BNB. Now, you're looking at this, and first thing which comes into the mind is, okay, this pattern itself is alarming, right? It is a rising wedge, which usually indicate that can break to the downside. Fine, your support can be somewhere close to this range. That is still possible. Now, remember, when you go into the market right now, trying to look at what are the assets which are moving, understand stable coins. Say Tether is increasing in volume. Now, understand that's stable coin, right? People are moving into them, waiting on the sidelines. Then you see Binance USD doing the same. So stable coins are right now getting more money coming into them. It can literally mean like, okay, people are actually going to wait there to see what's happening. But the positive side of that is like, now you have little people in the market fighting each other. So, if that's the bears waiting outside to see a breakout of this pattern to the downside before they jump back in, it's good for the bulls to bounce back. It's a little bit easier for them. But the concern here is when you're on a shorter term chart, now, the validity or the odds on the shorter term charts are comparatively lower than the macro charts. But right now, this is the perspective. You're looking for something where the volume is in red, the candle is red, you broke below the moving average. So if we are observing this moving average here, then, usually what happens, the price actually does that as continuation. If you want to get clarity, go to a line chart, put this as a line. Now, it actually shows you a little bit more clearly that we broke this to the downside. We went back up. We had a retest in this region. After which we broke to the downside, or we are getting rejected. So putting that in perspective, it's a 4-hour chart. So next 4 to 8 hours will be kind of a crucial thing. And, say in an hour, this video is going to be completed and uploaded, and we will see whether we are breaking through this level at that time or not. Because if we are breaking through this particular level after getting rejected from the moving average, as we discussed, we are going to see something even more like 23. We're going to drop like $200, $300 in Bitcoin, which may not be that bad. But remember, if we take out this support, that is now alarming. Why is that? Because we are now observing like, okay, if we are talking about the downside, this is the average drop. We are looking for something like a 5% drop after we break this to the downside. So to put that in perspective, to be precise, you actually take this and drop here. So that's something like 21,800. But remember, that's the measured move and that's the average measured move. In investing, the big giant guys usually say, don't be that guy who's 6 feet tall and cross that river, which is on average 6 feet deep. And unfortunately, he died because at some point it's 7 to 8 feet. At some point it's 3 to 4. So it's just the average, right? So we don't know whether it's going to go deeper than this or not. But we know one thing for sure, that one of the previous range which the price respected as a resistance was 21,300. So most likely close to that can be a support. It's great. Fine. We all know that it is coming. And at some point, we are going to see a breakout from that pattern, which is most important. Now, this is going to impact in a way like, say the altcoin market as a whole. And that's one of the reasons why looking at Ether can give us some idea. Right now, when we are looking at Ether, now you can actually compare, like different people use different strategies. I've seen people using Ether to Bitcoin. That's all clear. It's all same. What we are looking at right now here, even in the Ether, is that the market is showing you a pattern which usually ends up as a corrective pattern unless we break this to the upside. So if we get a break to the upside, that's great, that's bullish. But the real big issue here is that this has been a resistance before. Now you extend that to the past and you see that was a previous level of support and a level of resistance here. So now we get that support resistance range and we extend that. And we are like, okay, right now we are at a medium-term resistance and a short-term resistance. So breaking through that will be really bullish, but we are at resistance. You don't buy at a resistance, you buy at a support and sell at a resistance, right? So if we break higher, retest and bounce, that's a good opportunity. Now you can say, okay, what if I'm holding and it breaks higher and the retest is not coming back exactly here? You lose some. Yes, that's true. But the level of risk which you are taking is entirely on a different scale on that particular scenario, right? So if the altcoin market is about to do this, a small correction coming back down to retest this level and then bounce, if that is the case, now you get a lot of buying opportunity near here. Not in Ether, I'm talking about the entire altcoin market as in general. Because a lot of altcoins, as we discussed in the last video, is showing you that the RSI is going through the roof compared to last 1 year. Literally, what that means for the price action, as we've seen in various different assets, like we've been trading through some of those. And yesterday we watched through some of them. We traded through some of them and we understood, like say assets like this, which actually showed you that the RSI is going through the roof, did run crazy, right? If you are looking at the ROI structure here, you can actually see, yeah, when SHIB runs, it actually runs hard, and here it did like 100% in the short term, right? So if you look at that, the RSI now in the overbought territory. Historically, whenever you have done that, the price was bursting. You go back in time, you are looking at all these volatility, the fluctuations, and you see whenever you're entering there, the price is bursting. Whenever you are entering there, the price is bursting. So that is something to keep in mind. Because when a bull market starts, we usually see that meme coins, small caps, all of them run higher. Now, I'm not contradicting myself. What I'm saying is when and if we break to the downside, it's going to create massive opportunities. Now, if you're a long-time guy who have been in this market for like 4 or 5 years and you're like, I don't care about this 10-20% drop, I've seen 90, it's completely fine. It's not going to be impacting your portfolio in any way other than you have already seen in this market, for sure. Agreed. But we don't want another bad news in the market to accompany this correction. That can suck. Meaning, say for example, if we get the CPI with saying the estimate, which is in the next 10 days, I think, now that can hurt the market. That's a big possibility in the market. Remember, when the CPI comes in and if it's more than expected, market usually responds negatively. And if that negative price action or the information comes into the market when we are correcting, now that can push even lower. So instead of reaching 21, we may try 19,200, 19,300. That's a range of next support, right? So you need to keep that in mind. And if there is a lot of orders and price action is kicking through that. Now it's 18,700, right? So these are different levels, different ranges we are looking at. One of the reason for that is you're looking for the RSI, and RSI is suggesting you here. And the reason in the recent past, when the RSI reached there, you were somewhere close here, 20,000, 21,000. So one of the major reason why I say that is because of this. And then you go on the moving average, right? We see this. The 3-day moving average right now is here. And the price and the moving average has a long way to meet. So if it actually goes up and the price comes down, you still meet somewhere close to 21,000. Now you go back to history and see, when we actually did this before, a first run up from the bottom of that wave structure, and you peaked and then slowly corrected back, you came back to that moving average. And let's see, what was the percentage of correction back then? It was like a 23% correction. So if we assume that it's going to follow the history, it's not going to be wild. Now you say, okay, close to what we just talked is going to be a major support. If that's the historical price action which we are looking for in this market. But again, if you are here as a long-term guy and you don't care about this short-term volatility, this is just information for you to keep your emotions in control, to look for the real supports where the price can actually bounce. So now going into XRP on a short-term chart. Now we were looking at a comparatively higher time frame structures. So right now this is a 4-hour chart. What we are watching is you got, that's my bad. You actually got this candle structure in the price action, which actually suggests to you, I'm going through the downside. Why is that? Look at that. 3 candles took the price from here to the upside, and then just 2 candles pushed it back down. So the momentum right now here is 4 bears right now on that time frame. That's a 4-hour. Now you want to get a bigger picture. You're going on to a 12-hour chart, and it gives you okay, the last bull has been killed. The bear, it's now engulfing to the downside. So last time when we got this possibility is here. So correction coming back to this level is not, that worst case. You can still be in that range, dropping 4-5% for sure. That still is just testing the previous range of resistance support level here. And that's normal. It's not, something bad. What would be bad is then we drop to test this level of support, which is going to be 0.36. Now that can emotionally hurt a lot of different people, right? 10% down from where you are right now. Say your portfolio is 5,000, you went to 50 and you're dropping another 5. You'll just feel like it's 45, but at that point, you'll still feel like, oh, I dropped 5,000. Or if your portfolio was like 100,000 and you went about 1 million and you're dropping 10%, now you drop 100, right? So that equation is always there. So your psychology, your emotion is what's showing things in the market. Now, what's positive? Now we talked about a lot of negative. What's positive here? Usually, when the MACD tries to cross to the upside, the price action goes to the upside. But remember, historically speaking, the first try never goes through. Say here, when we look at the last one, we tried once, twice, got rejected, went back lower and crossed back higher on the 3rd attempt, which is not again a bad thing. Here we tried to close first, then we got rejected. So that's the first rejection here. You went back down and then tried again. So you still have this possibility here that you can get rejected. You may come back 10% down, which is still okay in this market. But is it 100% sure? No, no one knows. Why are we talking about this then? The importance of understanding and keeping your emotions in check when the market is volatile is important. So even for this asset which actually ran up this much short term, there can be a retest and a bounce which is still healthy on the longer time horizon. You go to a weekly chart and you will still see we've had these kind of days in the past when we were going up, or even when we are coming down, we had days or weeks when we were bouncing up, right? And imagine this kind of bounce here doing like a 90% pull up. when you are a bear in that market. Or put the scenario to the other side. You are literally a great giant bull in this asset and you saw an 80% drop. Then it actually went back up, right? So this is a macro chart. You are literally observing that the RSI is going up, the MACD is breaking higher. You are literally looking for next 3-4 months of bulls. This is just about the short term which we are talking about. And if you really think that's gonna impact you, you can take action. That's why we are discussing this in detail right now in this video. Guys, through this video, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. That supports the channel a lot. And if you are looking for these kind of updates on a regular basis for all these assets, look at the Patreon. The link is in the description. If BTC drops and it's going to give you an opportunity session. If BTC breaks higher and again gives you a lot of opportunities in the altcoins, now this can be something to look at. So guys, that's it for today. I'll meet you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.